Hey y'all, I'm Rachel and I'm 22. I currently live in Coleman, Alabama. I'm going to Daystar College at Daystar Church in Good Hope, and I recently moved here like August of last year, so it's been a little over a year and I love it. It has been such a great journey for me. It's been awesome and I love it. I'm originally from Florida. I moved to Florida when I was in third grade. My dad has been a pastor my whole life. He has been even before my brother and sister were born. So he's been a pastor for many, many years. Yes, we're PKs, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Growing up in church has helped shape who I am, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So my parents and all of my siblings and I, we were all born and raised in Georgia. So that will always be my real home. All of us call that a real home. No matter where we move, no matter how many times we move, it'll always be our home. But anyway, so we moved to Florida when I was in third grade, so my dad could be a lead pastor at a church and community life center in Port Charlotte, Florida. And nobody really knows where Port Charlotte is. Every time I tell people, they're always like, where is that? Where's Port Charlotte? So I always tell people it's Southwest Florida, but the culture is not Southern at all. It's just the location. And Port Charlotte, Florida, I know this sounds awful, but it's really true. It is God's waiting room for the dead. And I know that sounds awful, but it's really true because it is in the top places of retirement for people. So if you can imagine how much fun it is to live in Port Charlotte, then I mean, it's great. If you want to spend a night out at playing bingo with your friends, then woo, that's fun. But anyway, yeah, most of my life has been spent in Florida, 15 years or more. So yeah, most of my life. But I originally went to college to pursue a degree in elementary education. I've always loved kids. I say that I've always loved kids, even when I was a kid myself. I have pictures and videos to prove it. I couldn't go anywhere without my baby dolls. I have videos and pictures of me reading to them like they're my own. So I've always loved kids. But I didn't start serving in children's ministry until I was in middle school. And that's when I really started to discover my love for them and let that love develop and grow. And I just worked my way up in leadership within the church. So by high school, I was leading and running services and coming up with lessons, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. But it wasn't really a part of my plan to like be in ministry full time because I really just wanted to be an elementary school teacher. That's what I wanted to do because my mom and pretty much all the women in my family have been elementary school teachers. My Nana was, my Mama was, my mom was, my Fafa was a teacher, my dad was a children's pastor. So a love for kids has always been a part of my family. So for me wanting to be an elementary school teacher, I've always wanted to do that because just listening to my grandmothers and my mom talk about their experience with it and the impact that they made in their students' lives, I was like, yes, I want to do that. I want to be a part of that. But we all know that God's plans are better, and sometimes they're not our plans, it's His plans. So I started directing preschool at my dad's church starting in college. And I did that for a few years. It was just volunteer. It wasn't a paid job. So I was just the one who came up with the lessons, just kind of running the classroom every Sunday. And any events I was over for preschool, that's what I was doing. And I loved it. Such a great experience for me. Definitely learned a lot about leadership and just being flexible in life and flexible in ministry because as we all know, if you work with kids, it doesn't always go the way that you planned. And I had to learn that the hard way when I was directing preschool. So it definitely was a good experience for me. And when I did that, that's when I knew that God was calling me into ministry full time. So I stopped pursuing my degree in elementary education and started my hunt for a ministry school. And that was very difficult for me to find a good Christian school because I was limiting myself because I didn't want to move away from home. Like, starting my junior year of high school, I told people I am not moving away from home. I am going to a community college. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying with my family. But like I said, God has other plans and He knows what we need more than we think that we do. So, yeah, and also just trying to find a good, affordable college, kind of limited myself to finding a good Christian college. But my dad, being the lead pastor at our church, he was doing a program called 24 to Double, and he discovered that they have a college at Daystar Church. And he was like, Rachel, you should check it out. And I'm like, okay, Dad, but I can't promise you I'm going to go there because it's in Alabama that's 2 states away. We all know I ain't moving, so I don't know. But I told myself that, you know what, you really should check it out because you never know. This might be the place that God wants you to be. Even though it's a little scary, it's not a part of your plan. You need to know that God, you can trust Him and know that His plans are better than yours. And just because I checked it out doesn't mean I had to go. But I did check it out and I fell in love with Daystar Church. I loved their vision. I loved their heart for young people. And I loved what Daystar College was about. I loved the fact that I would be learning alongside and pursuing a ministry degree just like everybody else that I was going to college with, that we're all after the same thing and we're all passionate about the Lord and we're serving Him together. I loved that, and I loved their vision for young people. And so I was like, after a lot of praying, I knew that Daystar College was the place where God wanted me to go. So now that I've been here for a little over a year, I am on Sundays, I'm with children's ministry. I go back and forth with serving in preschool and then sometimes leading service, leading worship in the older kids department at the church, and I absolutely love it. And on Wednesdays, I help serve in students, and we break out into small groups like every Wednesday except for the first Wednesday of the month. And I help lead in the middle school group, and I love that as well. So when I graduate, my plan is to be a children's pastor and in some way, shape, or form have something to do with students because I love students as well. But whatever that looks like, I'm trusting God that He's going to open up a door for me to pour into youth students as well as kids when I'm a children's pastor. So I'm looking forward to all of the things that God has planned for me. I'm getting close to graduating, hopefully by next year, hopefully. So it's a little scary, but it's a little exciting at the same time. But overall, I know that God has good plans for me and you as well. So we can just be excited about that and trust in Him, know that we've got good plans for the future. So to me, Christian leadership, to me, means that you are serving people. The other day, every Wednesday, me and the other college students, we go in the student auditorium and pray for like 30 minutes to an hour. And we just go around praying over the chairs and just over the youth building, just praying for that night when the students come and learn. We just want to be expectant for the Lord to move that night in the service. And every time we get finished praying, we always go over like what God has laid on our hearts during that prayer session. And what we talked about was basically what I'm saying about how we're serving people. It's not about us, it's about God and it's about His people. That's what Christian leadership is all about, that you are walking with those people that you're leading in their life, their personal life, and in their spiritual growth, that you're walking with them and you're training them up in the way they should go. And ministry is all about serving people. that we must decrease so that God can increase. So I always have to remind myself that, because life can be hard sometimes and we can get easily distracted and forget that, whoa, wait a minute, like there are people walking through these doors that need us. They need that Christian leadership in their lives. So we have to slow down and remember that, hey, it's not about me, it's about God, and it's about serving people. So that's what Christian leadership means to me. I think that the difference between leadership and Christian leadership is, like I said earlier, Christian leadership, this is something that God's called you to do. It's ministry. You're training people up in the way they should go in biblical standards. Whereas leadership, you're leading people in like worldly standards, whether you're a manager at Publix where I work. So that's just the first thing that popped in my head. But that's the difference between Christian leadership and leadership is to me. And I'm looking forward to this class and everything that I'm going to learn in it. I don't think that we ever get to a place in our lives, no matter how old we are, where I know everything, I don't need to grow anymore. I think that we're always constantly growing, we're always constantly learning. So I'm really excited to learn more about Christian leadership and how it's going to impact the way I lead now and the way I'm going to lead in the future. So good luck in the class, everyone. Can't wait to read everybody's posts in the discussion threads. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye.